This is what every 18 to 55-year-old male wants in the month of March, a bracket. And we have one now on October 1st. It's bracket time. The MLB postseason is here. And of course, the Just Baseball show is going to be talking about what happened on Monday Night Football last night. Tyreek Hill went for what? 12 catches, 110 yards. Jack, Peter, Aram, Just Baseball show. Peter, it is presented by
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether it be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you lose. So you place a wager after depositing. We'll deposit $10 placed on your wager after using promo code JustBaseball. Then if it loses, you'll get that all back up to $1,500 in bonus. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Jack, can we get straight into the baseball thing? No run around the rosies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Run around the rosies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you made that up.
I did.
Is it Ring? I think Ring Around the Rosie is the
It is
plague-based children's game. Yeah, there we go. Run Around the Rosies. But we are going to fill out a postseason bracket. That is going to be each of our individual things. So I will have a bracket. Peter will have a bracket. Aram will have a bracket. We're also going to give you our All-MLB team because voting just opened for that. Voting closes on October 11th, and that'll be a collaborative effort. But before any of that, we had a doubleheader yesterday that felt like the postseason started a day early. That game one was the game of the year, and there's no other game that comes close. Peter, I know in a mailbag we talked about Sale and Snell in San Francisco, and that was awesome, and that was the pitching matchup of the year. There's no doubt. But, dude, like the ebbs and flows of that game and the top of the eighth, followed by the bottom of the eighth, followed by the top of the ninth, and Lindor doing that with the back thing, and Edwin Diaz bouncing back in his second inning of work. There were so many little aspects of that that built up to make that the game of the year. And that was, I know that there were a lot of people that were upset that this was even happening. My counter to that is, what are you going to do about a natural disaster? What are you going to do about limited time? You literally had 4 weeks or 4 days to game plan after the fact. And was this not freaking electric? This was awesome. Aram, I want to open the floor up to you because it feels like this is what Major League Baseball needed to get us into October.
Oh, man. I mean, I think this was the perfect appetizer. And I think it's just an extra little spotlight, I think, on the game. You squeeze out almost an extra playoff game here. The second game obviously wasn't nearly as exciting, but it was kind of all out, and the emotional, I think, just aspect of that game to me was, it felt like there was a lot more at stake than just getting to the playoffs. These are both teams and both players, on both of these teams have been to the playoffs several times. Of course, the Braves have had a little bit more success than the Mets, but even the Mets, I know it hasn't been the most exciting last couple of years for them. And it was kind of an interesting roller coaster of a season with a crazy second half after hitting rock bottom twice. But like, you could just feel the emotions on a different level. I don't know if it's the divisional side of it as well, just the circumstances in general. But I just don't know if I can remember, even late in the regular season, it is almost like a 163 type of game that we had, several years back. I don't know if I can remember just the emotions being this high and just that much buy-in and that much desperation for both of these teams. But you really felt it with the Mets to want to win this thing. And that seems to always seep out from the TV and into the living rooms of whoever's watching. And you could just tell that this ball game, that game one, captivated fans, whether you're Braves, Mets, or just a general baseball fan, in the middle of a weekday, on a Monday afternoon. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah. I think I'm just so happy for the Mets because you feel like there was a sense of relief followed by euphoria. Right, going into this game, what do they hear? Even in our Twitter space, we're talking to Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, the biggest Mets fan in America. And he's even saying, yeah, we probably lose game one. There's like a dark cloud in all Mets fans and baseball fans in general. I feel like we probably share it where we kind of assumed that the Braves would just roll because we talked about it a couple episodes ago, how the Mets record against the Braves historically in September is terrible. I thought I read something like they were 5-21. So to go down early, then come back, then lose the lead again, and then finally win it in the end with your guy, Francisco Lindor, the guy you paid 10 years, 12 years. I don't remember his contract, but I know it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. For him to also do it, that felt like a culmination of just getting the bad vibes off of their back. And that is just the ultimate way to catapult yourself into the playoffs.
The buzzword that you just used was back. And I
Mhm.
know they paid him $341 million, but
That
if
one
you
was
haven't
important.
if you haven't seen Brandon Nimmo's post-game interview on SNY, you should go watch that because he was awesome, he was emotional, he was articulate, and he said something that resonated with me. Do you know how hard it is to play with a messed up back? Like
Mhm.
that's a guy that's done that before, and that is just another layer to the MVP caliber season that Francisco Lindor has had, and the fact that he did that when his back is killing him, I'm sure, is like this feat of baseball excellence that is not replicated 5 times throughout a given year. Like that was so incredible from him.
What I loved about the game too is I love when you almost feel like you had multiple games within a game
Yeah.
where through the first half or even more of the ball game, it was like, okay, we got a pitcher's duel, right? Spencer Schwellenbach is rising to the occasion,
Yeah.
going 7 innings of 1-run ball. And even on the Mets side, Tyler McGill kept him in it and
He's
struck
good.
out 8 over 5 2/3. So it felt like this might be a lower scoring game, especially when you hand it over to the bullpens where it's going to be the A+ team from both sides, and really all hands on deck. So the last thing you're thinking is that this turns into a slugfest where you're changing leads what feels like every 2 seconds here, and that's when it's just this all out desperation, balls to the wall, try to win this ball game where it feels like multiple ball games within one. And you have just the classic, closer or reliever telling him, I'm not coming out of the game. Like it had all of the feelings of that game 7 where you don't care what a guy's used to throwing, right? I mean, it was the first time in Edwin Diaz's career that he has thrown back-to-back days combining for more than 50 pitches, and he threw 66 between the last 2 days. His velocity was down. He didn't care. His manager came out there, talked to him. It was clear that Edwin Diaz was not coming off that mound. Like it was all of those aspects that you generally see in a winner take all game 7. And, even though it did kind of have that winner take all feel, they still had a chance to win the next ball game. Right. And you knew that whatever team, won, it was not going to be as bought in or as desperate in game 2. So it was amazing just to see that level of desperation, even though it wasn't this one winner take all game. That I really think made a big difference in this whole thing and made it, I think, one of the best games we've seen in a little while.
To your point about there being almost multiple games within this single game, Ron Darling said in the top of the 8th inning, like right before the dam broke in terms of the Mets offensive breakout and they hit a round at that top of the 8th. Darling in the top of the 8th said, no one made 21 outs look easier than Spencer Schwellenbach. And he was totally right. Like Schwellenbach put them in his back pocket and was on cruise control. And doing that in that big of a moment has to have Atlanta Braves fans so ridiculously excited for what's to come. You have another year of sale. We'll see what happens to Fried on the open market. Remember that Strider guy? He's back. Like, and you have Schwellenbach, and you have Reynaldo Lopez on a multi-year deal. I know we're not talking about 25 right now, and this is like the one time you shouldn't be talking about 25 because it's a 2024 postseason. But at the end of the day, dude, this is so encouraging, not only for the wild card series, not only for the division series if they get there, but for 2025 and beyond. They found a guy here.
Yeah, I had a tweet that I had to put in the drafts because right as I was about to fire it off, it was quote tweeting our main account's Schwellenbach tweet about just how impressive he was. And I was just going to lay out the whole pitching outlook that they have because even with Fried departing, you have Strider, as you mentioned, coming back, Schwellenbach being a dog. You assume that Sale is going to be more than fine, especially next year as well. And then all the young guys, I could go through all the prospects. They've got a lot of fun young arms that are coming up through the pipeline that are either big league ready as soon as next year or will be ready sooner rather than later. And they got the steal of the draft, I think, with their prep arm and Cam Caminiti.
Yeah.
So I had that whole draft like ready to go. And then it started to turn into a slugfest, and I was like, yeah, probably not the right time. So I put that back in the drafts. But I am going to fire that one off. Like the pitching situation for the Braves moving forward is fantastic, and it's exciting for them. And I think the fact that this team, given how decimated they were and all the injuries that they've had to take on this season, still found a way to get to the playoffs is I think just shows you the value of having been there and done that. Them and the Astros, and I think the Braves were dealt a much tougher hand. But just being able to weather the storm, actually, unfortunate probably pun there, but being quite literally, and just being able to work through that, like it's pretty amazing that the Braves were able to get back. And once they're in the playoffs, you can't count out Snit in that ball club anytime.
I will say the prevailing narrative from this Monday, though, in that series was Met Magic, was it
Oh
not?
yeah, grimace. I mean,
Grimace. Yeah, the prevailing story was rock bottom, and then Gary Cohen's final score or final call 0-5 to OMG, like Jose Iglesias with that hit in the eighth. Like it's just Met Magic. I don't really know what else goes into it. There's some weird voodoo thing I'm sure is going on, but like the fact that Steve Cohen was in the dugout that quickly post game, I'm like, all right, you know what? There's something good going on here.
Yeah, yeah. And also, the manager Mendoza picking all of the right spots to do all the right things, letting Iglesias swing it away there, even falls behind 2 strikes, still picks up the big hit. Like it just seems like, and we heard the superstar manager thing, and we joked about that, but like clearly he's got some feel for this ball club.
For sure.
I was just thinking about when Arm was going to tweet out something about Schwellenbach, like breaking down his pitch mix, and I just tweeted out a picture of Schwellenbach with Randy Marsh, the gif from South Park, which is huge
nuts in the wheelbarrow. Yeah.
And, you know, I almost think that Arm and I mean the same thing when we tweet out both of those things. Like Schwellenbach's ability to attack Mets hitters with no regard, like just going straight after him. And at such a young age, I know he's at home, so it makes it a little bit easier to do that. But in a do or die type game, for him to just attack the zone like that, it was incredible to see from someone that young with not a ton of experience. We keep going back to a guy like Schwellenbach, who even at the University of Nebraska, right as a shortstop, comes up and just attacks the zone like this beyond just the stuff. He's just such an impressive pitcher.
No doubt, man. And it was a 7-pitch seventh for Schwellenbach, or no, 7-pitch sixth, I want to say it was for Schwellenbach, which is just like, come on, man. In this game, seriously. So these two are in the wild card. We are going to do the wild card in the rest of the postseason on the back half of the episode, but we do want to knock out the All-MLB team because voting just opened. Again, voting does close on October 11th. And Peter, you are the czar with MLB.com open here, and you're going to do all the clicking, and then you're going to take the screenshot, and that's going to be just Baseball Show's All-MLB team. Are we ready to do this?
I think so. So we'll start at the first base position. So MLB, and we joked about this before we started the podcast, not like the All-Star game where you can have a choice of whoever you want. They limit you to 10 guys. You can't just force in your random niche narratives that you want to, as much fun as that may be. So the 10 they list Pete Alonso, Mets, Jake Berger of the Marlins, Vladdy of the Blue Jays, Josh Naylor of the Guardians, Vinny P of the Royals, Luis Ariz of the Padres, Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, Bryce Harper of the Phillies, Matt Olson of the Braves, and Christian Walker of the Diamondbacks. For me, this is easy. Vladdy.
Vladimir, I love that you said it first, but I mean, yeah, it's Vladdy. It's got to be Vladdy. I hate that he came up 1 hit short of 200, and you can tell the fans really wanted him to get there in Toronto at the end of the season there. But I mean, what a freaking year this guy had. It's got to be him.
Bunch of Neanderthals in Toronto that care about hit totals. Stupid.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 6th in WRC plus this year, 160.
Dude, he was a 5.5 win player this year. Like this is what we've been begging for. He was what, a 0.6, 0.7 win player last year, and he's upped back to 5.5 wins this year. He was amazing. I will say Jake Berger's turning into the new Chris Davis, right? 2022 hit 250, 23 hit 250, 24 hit 250. That's awesome.
That's a good
call. I got something to root for next year. I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. You can do the Chris with a K thing. So that'll be great. But Vladdy, clean sweep.
Vladdy, just curious, would you have guys gone in second place? Are you going Bryce Harper or Freddie Freeman?
Harper. Yeah, more power from Harper this year. 8 more homers. I think just across the board, just a little bit more impressive. I think that the slug difference, I think ultimately is the big separator there, right? Where you get 525 from Harper versus 476, especially at such a slugging oriented position. Freeman was doing that 330 thing to offset it. Maybe, but Harper even had him at a couple points in the batting average department. So, yeah, I think it's pretty comfortably Harper in the second spot.
Agreed. Second base, Jose Altuve of the Astros, Andres Jimenez of the Guardians, Ketel Marte of the Diamondbacks, Bryce Terang of the Brewers, Luis Garcia of the Nationals, Jonathan India of the Reds, Marcus Semien of the Rangers. Another easy one, gentlemen.
This
Layup.
one's easier.
Yeah,
This
might
one's
even be
easier.
easier. Ketel
It is
Marte
easier.
of the Arizona Diamondbacks. God, he had put up a good season.
Actually, disagree. It was Colt Keith on the ballot. I thought Colt Keith was the slam dunk. answer.
Unfortunately, you can't push your narratives like we thought we could.
Darn.
This position kind of sucked this year. Like,
yeah.
which
But
is
except
wild.
for
'cause you
Ketel
think,
Marte. Like, except for Ketel Marte, he was unbelievable all season long. He's got a 932 OPS, 36 jacks. He had almost 300. But I agree. Besides him, like Altuve's next, you'd assume. Luis
Yeah.
Garcia's probably third. Like,
I
in terms of
guess.
OPS.
No, I think Brandon Donovan's probably third, right? Does he
Donovan's
count?
ahead of him.
He's not even
Uh,
on this. He's not even
I
on
know.
this. I'm just going off the guys who they
Okay, well,
listed.
off the guys here, yeah, jeez, I don't even
Yeah.
know.
It's just crazy that Semien was second among second basemen in F4, and he had a 99 WRC plus.
He
Like-
low-key had a pretty shitty season.
I mean, he's an elite
his
defender.
standards.
He was a
For his
4.2 win player.
Yeah, he's
I'm
still
talking
a
about for
fourth.
his standards. He is
Yeah.
he's too good to have a 699
For
OPS.
his standards, no doubt. But like Andres Jimenez had a 2.8 WAR. Like he had a pretty shitty year too.
Yeah, but he's just he needs to have that 1 year again.
Yeah, so this position, man, like only 6 players had a WAR F4 above 3. It's Luis Garcia, and that's including Brendan Donovan, who played all over. I don't even think you should count him because he's accumulating WAR at different spots. Nico Horner, Jose Altuve, Marcus Semien, and Ketel Marte. Kind of weird where this position has kind of gotten to. I think there'll be a lot of talent clearly coming back in with players either moving off a short and going to second, top prospect, stuff like that. But I mean, this has got to be the biggest landslide, I think, of any position.
I think so.
100%. All right, let's go to shortstop. You got Willie Adames of the Brewers, Ellie De La Cruz of the Reds, Francisco Lindor of the Mets, Corey Seager. We should probably just stop. It's Lindor, but Corey Seager of the Rangers. No, actually, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's
because
not.
this position is loaded. I got to just keep reading the names, Peter. Trey Turner of the Phillies, O'Neal Cruz of the Pirates, Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles, Zach Neto of the Angels, Ezekiel Tovar of the Rockies, and Bobby Witt Jr. of the Royals.
It's so funny that O'Neal Cruz is on this list. Why? He's a center fielder now. Love to Gunner, love to Lindor, love to Ellie, Bobby Witt,
Yeah.
signed, sealed, and delivered.
One of the greatest, finished 5th all time among shortstops in WAR. All time.
In a season. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. 332 with 32 and 109 driven in with 31 bags. With the great defense, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, which is crazy because this position actually is loaded. And we're talking about Francisco Lindor as one of the most valuable players in the sport, but it's Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aram, I think it might have been you and I were discussing this list, or it was Jack and I. So whoever wasn't on that episode with me, let me know. I said Gunner over Lindor if we were talking about a second
that was
place
me.
winner. That was you. I think we agreed, right? You agreed with Gunner over Lindor?
Yeah, I
And then
think
after that game, it's like, shit.
Yeah,
Well-
that game made it hard.
I
but
know that game made
question-
it really hard.
What's the context though? Is it is
Just
it
who
hey
you
you're
think-
building a franchise or no? Who do you think was better in 2024?
Better season this year.
Yeah,
I guess
It's-
my answer would be Lindor now, but like that might be recency.
yeah. I mean, the home run and just the game that he had definitely helped, but especially at the time that we're talking about it, like as Peter laid it out, there wasn't really, of course, the defense is a huge aspect for Lindor, but Gunner being able to still pick it pretty well, and then
Right.
launching 37,
Yeah.
and pretty much having him edged out and the entire slash line, it made it pretty hard to like pass on Gunner.
And WAR factors in defense, of course. And Gunnar had an 8-win season compared to Lindor at 7.6. But you can see the recency bias is just coming through me right now because I even said before I read the rest of the shortstop, oh, Lindor, duh. But I was like, I forgot Bobby Witt Jr. had one of the
There are other
greatest
people.
shortstop seasons ever. But I still think it's Gunnar. I know
I-
we're a prisoner of the moment a little bit.
I can't wait for you to watch Bobby Witt play in Baltimore today and be like, "Oh, I forgot about that guy. That's crazy." I can't
It
believe
wasn't me
it.
forgetting about Bobby Witt. It was Lindor has to be the answer to everything
No,
right
it,
now
it was
after
you
that homer.
reading and deciding you didn't need to read the rest of it.
Yeah, that wasn't my finest moment. So after hearing that, Gunner is the better slash line, better WRC plus, higher F4. Do you still think it's Gunner? Because I could be convinced about Lindor over Gunner right now because I'm kind of in that mode where I'm feeling it.
Well, they're vying for second place, but I think you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
It's really tough. I I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
I don't know. There's something about like the recency thing and the clutch
I
factor
know.
thing that I'm
I know.
like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and
like
and just
the Orioles were really not that good for a really long time this year. They started
Gunnar was
so
very good.
hot and they tapered off so quickly. But like the
Can't
Mets,
put that on Gunnar. Can't
I
put that
know
on
I
him.
can't put it on Gunner. I can put it on Adley Rutschman. I can put
Yeah.
it on the pitching health. I can put it on a bunch of other things. But I guess if you factor in the clutch factor and things that I
Aura.
can't articulate by any means, I lean Lindor. But I like Gunner had a better year statistically. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm looking at the numbers and I just gave the pitch for Gunner and I like agree with you on Lindor already
Yeah,
after
it's
that.
like
I mean, that was unbelievable. And the fact is that he didn't even really react after the home run too. He
that
just
was the
trotted
craziest
around the
part.
that was
bases.
wild.
That was cold-blooded. I
Yeah,
mean, Brandon Nimmo said it best. That's a bad man right there.
That's
That
yeah.
is a bad man.
Doing it with the back is just crazy.
Crazy.
And just being able to swing it the way he has and come up big in that spot. But can't go wrong. This position is just crazy loaded.
Yeah. Third base. Another pretty good one. Alec Boehm from the Phillies, Matt Chapman, Giants, Rafael Devers, Red Sox, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, Mark Vientos of the Mets, Alex Bregman of the Astros, Jazz Chisholm is in the third base category. Well, he's kind of been playing a lot of third base for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Manny Machado of the Padres and Eugenio Suarez. Another 30 home run season for the guy. I think I have my answer though. I assume you
Okay.
guys do too.
I think it's pretty easy again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the guy that almost went 40-40.
Yeah.
It's Jose Ramirez, right? I mean, 6.5 WAR, 39 and 41, and played one less game than he could have been able to if they didn't bang the last one. He had a shot at 40-40, but regardless, I mean, he's just a full win better than everybody else at the position, and has become a pretty good position. Obviously, there's a lot of really good players, but I mean, Ramirez just impacts the game in too many different ways. It's got to be him.
Agreed.
Yeah, I had 39 doubles too. He almost went
Yeah.
40, 40, 40.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I feel like
Outrageous.
if you ask the baseball gods like who are their favorite players, I think they'd give maybe number one to Jose Ramirez. Like if that game, the last game of the season, didn't get canceled between the Astros and the Guardians, he was hitting that 40th home run and he was hitting that 40th double. Like he's a baseball gods guy. That's
He
my
is a
feeling.
baseball gods guy. J Ram was what, 6.5 WAR?
Yep.
Chapman was 5.5 WAR.
Yep.
Third best was 4.1.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Mark Vientos, 27 home runs. God, it's like I'm
Yeah,
just
respect.
I'm feeling Mets fever right now. I mean, that
Gotcha.
was just so electric. Catcher. William Contreras of the Brewers, Yonder Diaz of the Astros, Salvador Perez of the Royals, Adley Rutschman of the Orioles, Tyler Stevenson of the Reds, Wilson Contreras of the Cardinals, Shea Langeliers of the A's, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners, Will Smith of the Dodgers, and Austin Wells of the Yankees. I think it's another easy one.
I don't. I think
Really?
this is actually up for discussion. I know
Okay.
that William Contreras was the better offensive player. I do want to respect Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
I really want to shine respect on him. I side with the guy that's on the team that's in the postseason and did it when Christian Yelich was out for the remainder of the year. Did it like he was the star coming into the season and he performed like a star for the entirety of the year. And he's a large part why the Brewers did win the NL Central. I do go with Contreras, but I don't think it was like super duper easy because I think Cal Raleigh put together a hell of a year. You're getting elite defense. You're getting 30 homers from him. And he gave you both of them. Like, wow, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
more than fair.
the receiving is crazy for one of the
Yeah.
best staffs, right? In Major League Baseball. So to just be able to help accentuate that and play a part in that is absolutely huge. The fact that Contreras is still a solid defender on top of it, though, I think, and helping maximize a staff that doesn't nearly have the firepower, definitely is what gives him the edge for me. But I'm with you. I think it's a lot closer than even I would have imagined a few weeks ago. It's crazy to see Raleigh impact the game so much from the power perspective, but then also doing it from the defensive side of things too. And I kind of wonder what it would look like if he played somewhere else, and how much that offense would maybe even tick up further. But that's moot in this conversation, and it's got to go to Contreras, who we also talked about as one of the most valuable players in the sport. But yeah, I don't think Rowley's too far off.
Yep. I was just interested. What are Cal Raleigh's home road splits? Oh, well, they're drastic. on the road, 237, 311, 512 for an 823 OPS. On the road, at home, 201, 314, 351 for a 665 OPS.
Can the Mariners figure that the hell out?
Yeah.
Like, please?
But that, what a year from Cal Raleigh if he just gets out of T-Mobile. I mean, that defense with that production.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate, though.
Figure that out. Fix it. Make it not impossible to see or whatever the hell is going on there.
I'm giving it to William Contreras. All right,
Yes.
let's move to DH. Yordan Alvarez of the Astros, Marcelo Zuna of the Braves, Brent Rooker of the A's, Ohtani of the Dodgers, Jock Peterson of the D-backs, Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies. Loaded position. I mean, I guess the worst on this list, you might say Jock, but he had a 900 OPS. The only reason you'd say Jock is because he doesn't play against lefties. But Schwarber has the lowest OPS, but hit 38 jacks and drove it 100. What a position.
Yeah.
What a position. But, Ohtani went 50-50.
What's Ohtani's first name?
Shohei.
Yeah, that guy.
54. You know what I thought was weird? We post the graphic just on our story. 54-59, and people are like, why even post this? I don't know. Ohtani has a ton of haters for absolutely no reason. Whenever we post Ohtani, there's always, gambling. This. What do
people?
Can you just be happy?
Dude, people hate excellence. There are millions of people that hate Tom Brady. There are millions of people that hate LeBron James.
But no, to Peter's point, I had never really seen anything like it. So covering that game, which, by the way, was the coolest experience I've had since he gave me the coolest experience that I've had, which was the World Baseball Classic, which we watched together. Like, the fact that I've seen two of the best baseball things I've ever seen in Lone Depot Park, and it's thanks to the guy that plays there like once every 2 years, essentially, is just, again, a testament to how good he is. It was so surreal, right? Everyone there is buzzing. I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, like, what this guy's done for the sport. I have friends texting me that don't even care about baseball, talking about how incredible it is. I have family members, this and that. Go to the press room afterwards. He does his press conference, answers questions, couldn't be more professional, starts by thanking the people that came before him, just says all of the right things, and then, goes off. I tweet some of his quotes. Obviously they get a decent amount of runs, so you get a wider pool of people. And I could not believe how many absurd replies I was getting from so many. I had to turn the notifications off because it was so overwhelmingly just negative on him. I think it's so weird. Obviously, the vast majority of normal baseball fans and sports fans are just quietly rooting for him and not outwardly saying, yay, Ohtani every single time. But to Peter's point, I have not quite seen my replies get that negative when a guy breaks a threshold that we have not seen broken, and just a lot of weird hate kind of spewed his way that I just don't totally understand.
Is it the $700 million thing? Is it the Dodgers super
It's
team
I think
thing?
a big part of it is going to the Dodgers plus the $700 million.
I don't really understand that, though, because like when Judge broke Roger Maris's, record, wasn't as much hate. And he's the Yankee getting paid
you're
like
in the
a
wrong
ton.
circles.
You didn't think he was getting you thought he was getting more hate than Ohtani's been getting?
No, not even close.
Okay.
But you also had all the
I would expect Judge to get way more hate.
You did get all the people talking about the juice balls and trying to take away and minimize it. You have a lot of people that say it's not even a cool record. It's only the American League home run record. Like, it's not even the entire league. You had a lot of people saying negative things too. So that is part of it, where people are always going to want to diminish accomplishments. But I do think it's part of like leaving in free agency and going to the Dodgers. It's like that KD thing where just people are just going to forever assign you in that bucket and just want to see you fail because you took the quote unquote easy way out in their mind.
All I'm saying, like, I've been running our socials on TikTok and Instagram, and I have never seen a player get as much hate for doing nothing as Shohei Ohtani in all of the years that we have been doing this.
And
by far.
That's
Not even
valid.
close. And I can't believe it because he's my favorite at everything he does. I want to gravitate towards, and that's what I feel everybody should be doing because he's one of the most talented athletes we're ever going to see in our entire lives.
In
But
any
people
sport.
always need something, and it's weird hate. We'll post something about 54, 59. 5 DMs? Like saying, what the fuck is this? Weird. Weirdo behavior. I don't get it.
Enjoy greatness, which leads us into the outfield.
Yes, it does. All right, outfield, we got to select 3 players. I'll go through it quick. Mookie Betts, Jackson Chourio, Jaron Duran, Ian Happ, Aaron Judge, Tyler O'Neill, Brian Reynolds, Juan Soto, Dalton Varsho, Corbin Carroll, Brenton Doyle, Riley Green, Teoscar Hernandez, Jackson Merrill, Jurickson Profar, Anthony Santander, and Seiya Suzuki.
This is hard.
Well, I'm going to click Judge first.
Yep.
That's valid.
I'm probably going to click Soto second.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
get
also
that
valid.
out of the way. And then might be Duran.
I think it comes down to Duran and Merrill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Brenton Doyle. That
Doyle was
actually, but,
awesome.
like,
Respect Brenton Doyle. No.
Yeah. If Mookie had a full year. Doyle,
It's crazy. Santander hits 44, and we're like, eh.
yeah, it's just the defense
But
wasn't really
no,
there
I agree.
for him.
It's just not 308 on base percentage. Like, it's got to be better than that. It's really tough because I think from a value perspective, I mean, Duran turning into such a good defender up the middle was huge, but it's not like Merrill was very far off from him defensively. Hit a few more home runs.
I think we got to go with Duran. He's got a
Yeah.
6.7 F4. I mean, it's absurd.
So-
Hire a WRC +2, or actually the same, 119 to.
Yeah. No, 129 to 130. Duran is a
129 to
129. Merrill is a 130. I've got a question, and like Aram, I feel like it's a you question. Where does the extra win and a half come from for Jaron Duran? Is 15 bags actually a win and a half?
No. I think it's accumulation of having more plate appearances and stuff like that as well. Like if you look at the difference here in terms
He had
of
140 more plate
yeah,
appearances.
he's pretty much in at the top of the order a ton. And just getting an opportunity to just compile because that's ultimately if you're playing well and you just keep getting ABs, like that's going to be a big separator. So I think it was more of the accumulation side. We're talking 735 plate appearances versus 593 because for a large portion of the year, Merrill was hitting late in the lineup, and then they moved him up as he continued to be more Jackson Merrill and really had that coming out party in the second half. So that is where the war kind of separates a little bit, but I think it's probably got to be Duran for that reason. Like this guy was pretty much great from the jump, and I know that it's different, and like I think it's more impressive what Merrill has done given the circumstances as he was a rookie learning a new position, this and that. But if we're just ranking the best or voting for the best outfielders this year,
yeah,
I think it'd be hard to go any other route than the guy that hit leadoff for the Red Sox all year long, like since the word go, and I think a couple games to hit second. That's about it. And just raked all year long and played superb defense in center and stole the bags.
Yeah. I will say real quick before we move off of outfield, it's so funny to me that Jackson Chourio and Julio Rodriguez had almost identical seasons by WRC plus, by WAR, by plate appearances, by defensive value, like everything. And in 2 years, I think people are going to be like, "Oh, Julio was fine in 2024." No, like I'm leaving 2024 so much happier with Jackson Chourio than I am Julio Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Not even
It's
close.
crazy.
So
it's funny too. It is crazy how similar the numbers are, like almost identical across the board.
They had carbon copy seasons, and I feel great about one, and I'm like, why do you suck now about the other?
Shows you what expectations can do.
Yeah.
To recap our All-MLB team, we got Vladdy at first, we got Ketel Marte at second, we got Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Jose Ramirez at third. Our catcher is William Contreras. At DH, we have Shohei Ohtani, and in our outfield, Jaron Duran, Aaron Judge, and Juan Soto. All right, let's get to pitchers. There's a big list, so I won't name all the pitchers. We can just get straight into it. I'm going to click Chris Sale. I think we're all fine with that.
Correct.
I'm going to click
Skubal.
Tarek Skubal. I think we're all fine with that. Number 3, I think we're going to click Zach Wheeler. I think
Correct.
we're fine with that. And then it gets somewhat interesting, and we can have a debate how important are innings, because if you're going to put Skeens on there, like Reynaldo Lopez also has a shot to be on there. His stats are also absurd. Shota Imanaga was, of course, excellent. But Corbin Burns is staring at me.
How about Renel
Blanco.
Blanco? How about Framber Valdez? How about Cole Reagans? How about Seth Lugo? There are a lot of names.
There
I
are a
think
lot of names.
we have to stop here and decide if Skeens is pitcher 4 or not.
I don't think he is. I think pitcher 4 has to be Lugo. Put through 206 innings, led Major League Baseball to 3 ERA.
Yeah.
You don't like that though, Aram.
No, I don't like whatever I have to decide. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those scenarios where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave the guy off with the sub 2, but there's a big difference. We're talking 60 or 70 innings here.
Yeah.
74 innings or 73 innings, excuse me. 73 and 2/3 innings is the difference between Seth Lugo and Paul Skeens. That is a shitload of innings.
I think Lugo is the right answer for 4. How many spots? 5 or 6?
Just 5.
Okay.
So we go Lugo 4. You know what I think? I think Burns 5. I mean, 194 innings. So he's not that far off. Ended the year with a 2.92. I mean, the rest of these guys like Shota, 291 in 173 innings. Framber, 291 in 176. Renel Blanco, 280 in 167. And then you kind of and then there's Corbin Burns right there with 194 innings. I think that ERA and innings are still the most important thing if we're looking at just straight production after the end of the season, and Burns has got it. I would go Burns. I'm willing to hear another argument, though, but for what I look for when voting here, I would go Burns.
I think it turns into Burns and Skeens now, and it's really hard leaving a guy with a sub 2 off. And since he debuted, he's led Major League Baseball in ERA by 0.2 of a run, and is third in Ks behind Sale and Skubal.
I know
we're knocking him for what Ben Cherington decided, but at the end of the day, it is what Ben Cherington decided.
Yep.
And it's a difference of 60 innings. So I'm fine with you clicking Burns. I just wanted to present the counter.
To your point, who do we think is a better pitcher right now?
Oh, I know what my answer.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I know who the better pitcher is right now.
But it's like Burns almost getting to 200, keeping that ERA under 3. I know I keep kind of repeating the same talking points, but those are still just hitting so hard.
And this is supposed to be this is supposed to be an award recognizing what you did in 2024. It's not who's the better pitcher. It's who had the better year. And I would say that Burns had the better year because he was given the opportunity to have a better year.
Yes, I agree. So
61. Yeah, it essentially becomes a question of what's more valuable, a full run less in the ERA department. And it's not just the ERA. It's, FIP, xERA, xFIP. Like, it's all consistently about a full run difference from Skeens and Corbin Burns. So, like, what's more valuable? A full run less in ERA and the predictors, or 61 in a third innings, essentially, is
61
is
in
the question.
I think 61 and a third, because you never know. Like we crazier things have happened in baseball than Skeens having a couple of rough starts.
Yeah, down the final 9. He would have had to make 9 more starts, essentially, at least.
Yeah, but how good did he look for those 2 innings? In New York?
Yeah. I mean, using my heart, I think he was going to go 7 innings, 1 run for the last 9 starts and be the greatest pitcher ever. Let
me tell you, I am so fascinated for our top 10 starting pitchers article that's coming out in February or March. I mean, we've got 2 guys, I think, in Yamamoto and Skeens, who have proven like they're in the top 5. It's just, where in the top 5 are you?
Another guy that gets an absurd amount of hate, Yamamoto, for no reason. No reason.
It's the Dodger. It has to be the Dodger super team thing.
It must be. It's whack.
So Skeens finished 10th in F4.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's so good.
But we're going to go Corbin Burns here.
I mean, if you guys want Skeens, like, I'm only one person with a finger and a clicker. Like, if you guys, this is a collaborative effort.
We have 3. This is a democracy. You're right.
If you guys want Skeens, like, I'm not going to stop you, because
did we solidify a 4th already?
Yeah, Lugo 206 at a 3. Like,
yeah, I know Jack loves the 16 wins too.
I love the wins. Huge fan.
Aram,
Skeens also had a better record than Corbin Burns. Can we point that out?
We can.
Skeens being 11-3 on that Pirates team with the way
Is
the
absurd.
offense looks, pretty crazy.
Everything we're saying is coming up Skeens, except for the innings.
I have to go. I mean, Aram, you're the deciding vote here. We got to get moving though.
I go Paul Skeens.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
The Just Baseball starting pitching all ML. I don't know what the title is. We have Sale, Scooble, Wheeler, Seth Lugo. See you later, birds. Paul Skeens is our 5th guy. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to the bullpen. And I'm gonna click on Emmanuel Clase. That cool?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all right.
Let's keep going down the list. I know I know recency bias. I know, but like, I want to give it to Raisel Iglesias.
I think I'm going to pitch this guy, and you
Yeah.
guys can do with it what you will. I think Kirby Yates should be the second.
Definitely.
Like Kirby Yates, 61 2/3 at a 117.
Oh,
Gaddis
wow.
was 74 2/3 at a 157.
I thought we had more options. We can only click 2 guys.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah.
Puck was awesome. I think Raisel was awesome. I think Tanner Scott was awesome. I think Vesia was great. But like Kirby Yates was punching out 12.5 per 9 and had a 117 in 61 2/3.
That's the answer.
It's a crazy season.
It's one of the more, I think it's the most underappreciated season that we had this year because we did not talk about Kirby Yates.
Him or Cade Smith on the Guardians.
Yeah, but we talked about the Guardian bullpen a lot.
True.
The thing is, the Rangers just fell out of conversation so early. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had no idea Kirby Yates had a 117. I had no clue. So to that point, it's got to be him. But also, Brian Hoeing, sneaky 1.51 ERA this year. Like, can we talk a little bit about that?
Why did he not make this, Arm?
I don't know. He should be in.
Kyle
I guess because he's the
Finnegan-
best swingman in baseball.
Kyle Finnegan did have 38 saves, but he's rocking a 3.68, just hanging out in the all-closer
Who
division.
led the league in holds? Was it Kittredge?
Oh, great question, Jack.
That's got to be where our vote goes, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
the
It
president
was
of the
Brian
holds fan
Abreu.
club.
Okay,
Kittredge,
standard.
Kittredge got upset. He was 1 behind Brian Abreu with 37. Abreu had 38. Clearly, MLB doesn't value holds anymore.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't even. So you have the answer to the holds question?
Yeah, it's Brian Abreu.
Brian Abreu. Okay. I wish it was someone like fatter though, like and looked like he had a beer belly. Like I loved when it was Kittredge.
Yeah, David
that's a guy
Robertson
who
third.
that like Brian Abreu should be getting saves. Andrew Kittredge should be getting holds.
Jojo Romero had 30 holds. Like that's a guy who should be getting holds.
That's a holds guy.
Yeah,
Like, even Griffin Jacks is too good for holds.
I agree.
It's got to be the 7th inning guys, just the
So-
bridge guys.
It's Kirby Yates then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I think that's our squad. That's it.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
And now we're going to do the brackets. But before that, quick break. Okay, you guys ready to do the bracket thing? We'll go wild card round, DS, CS, World Series. Aram, Detroit, Houston in Houston, starting today. Game 1 is Scooble and Fromber.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And obviously a tone setter. But I think some of Scooble's toughest outings this year were kind of against Houston. I think they battled pretty well against him. I got Houston winning this thing. I think it could go 3, but I think Houston wins this series.
Okay. I'm with you. I don't know if the Tigers are going to hit, if we're being totally honest. I love the story, and I love what
Me
the
too.
staff did after the All-Star break. I'm just like closing my eyes, and I'm seeing Framber Valdez make mincemeat of Trey Sweeney and Jace Young and Justin Henry Malloy, and I feel bad watching it, but
Well,
like that's going to happen.
And one of their best hitters, like, I mean, how much are we going to get to see him hit? Like, Kerry Carpenter, is he even going to face lefties at all in this
Right.
series? Like, so
Right.
is he hitting versus Framber? Probably not.
Well, and then
you know,
you've got Ronel Blanco, who, like, when his changeup is right, that's one of the best pitches in all of Major League Baseball.
so
Question for you
I
guys. Question for
Sorry?
you guys. Who's throwing game 2 for the Tigers?
I like Brant Herter, maybe.
Reese Olson? Kiter Montero? I mean, it just gets real thin real fast.
Yeah.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's like last year and the year before that, going up against the Astros, the fun team, I'm always picking the fun team. I want to go along for the ride. And then what do the Astros do? they just stick an enormous knife in your heart every time. So I'm sorry, Tigers fans. I want to pick you. It's fun, but how can we not go with the Astros? I mean, they're
Yeah,
just
and
sweet. They're the inevitable.
home field, and just been there, done that. They can kind of go toe to toe with the pitching depth too. I know the way the Tigers have been throwing it. Like, I don't want to run into the Tigers right now because of the way that they can put up zeros, but all the things Jack said too. Like, I think on the road, with just the experience that Houston has, the pitching depth that they're able to match with, and then the bats that even, I think about that Mariners series a couple years ago where the Mariners staff was just putting up zeros against the Astros, and it was really impressive. But the Astros were putting up zeros right back, and the young lineup kind of started to show a bit, and the experience of the Astros also shined through, and they outlasted them. And I think it's going to kind of be a similar thing here.
To your point, Houston wins these games on 2-3 swings. Like, that's how they win these games. They put up
Especially at
zeros, they
home.
put up zeros, and then all of a sudden Jordan hits a ball 450. Like,
Yep.
that's
Okay,
how
but
they win.
Here's a caveat though. Jordan on MLB.com from Brian McTaggart, he is 50-50 to join the wild card roster.
Okay. Altuve goes yard.
No,
Like,
I
they
know.
have enough guys that go yard.
But I'm just saying, if there's no Jordan, that is a big loss. I mean, that's enormous.
So I don't want to sound like a Tiger hater because I feel like I've been at the forefront of the Tiger bandwagon over the last 2 months, but I think they're fine without Jordan. I think the DS is when you worry, but again, you can't overlook any opponent. This is the MLB postseason. Anything happens.
And I also just think for all the glory that the Tigers have, whether that be Scooble, whether that be that bullpen, the Astros have almost as good a bullpen, and then they have Framber, who's just been there and who's dominated incredible lineups. Doesn't matter home road. They're just too much.
Yeah. Last thing I'll add on that front too is I think the back-to-back lefties potentially it's probably going to be what, Kikuchi game 2, you'd think.
You would think Kikuchi game 2. I'm not sure how the schedule lines up, but you also have Brown and Blanco sitting there hanging out.
I mean, that's really tough. I don't want to put too much on one player there, but I mean, not having Kerry Carpenter to potentially really swing it in 2 of those games there, like, that's crazy. And then I mean, some of their other top bats are lefties, as you mentioned, like Riley Green, and then you mentioned Trey Sweeney as just another lefty that could be impacted. Jace Young could be impacted. Like, this is a team that had an 88 WRC plus against left-handed pitching this year. So I think the way that the Astros kind of match up with them is tough too. I'm rooting for the Tigers. I want to see them do it. But yeah, it just seems like it's not even an ideal matchup pitching wise either.
Kansas City and Baltimore in Baltimore is the next one. And I think this is going to be a fight. I see a team with a distinct pitching advantage here, especially in the front 5 of each game, and I think Kansas City wins this one on the road. I also feel like the vibe is a little bit better for Kansas City right now than Baltimore. And I saw the Jackson Holiday, like stroller celebration when they clinched a postseason spot. That was great. Vibes are good, yada, yada. Burns, then who? And I know that I'm getting Reagans, and then I'm getting Lugo, and then I'm getting Waka. And I feel great about that if I'm Kansas City.
I 100% agree. The thing is that the Royals, their offense is just, especially with Vinny P, it just leaves so much to be desired. And they've been this year one of the worst teams against left-handed pitching. So a guy like Cade Povich, who continues to look better and better, could
Povich
actually be a weapon against this team.
Postseason game. Think about what you just said. Like Cade Povich in the postseason.
But even, I mean, who are the Royals guys? Like, not a lot of them are postseason proven outside of a Michael Wacha. I mean, Reagans hasn't shown it. Like, Lugo hasn't shown it. But to your point, like, but I agree with you.
Around.
I think they're in different stratospheres, Reagans and Cade Povich.
Yeah. No, I think I'm leaning with the Royals with you. I kind of want to bet them in game 1. Reagans versus Burns.
As a tone setter game.
Orioles are too big of a favorite.
If this gets to 3, I would, I'm not going to, but Waka against whoever Baltimore runs out there.
Yeah, I'd want Waka up there.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. Walk over Singer? I would take Walk over Singer
Waka's already the projected probable.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys both go Royals?
Yeah.
I think I'm going Royals, but you could convince me. I'm very in between.
Yeah, I lean Orioles. I just like the the way they kind of got right down the stretch where it
Yeah.
was really, really ugly. And then, I know they were playing a deflated Minnesota team, and I know it wasn't maybe the most intense, but I thought they looked really good in New York too, and against New York too. So I thought they got right and at least built enough momentum going into the postseason here. I think that the way that they can mix and match the lineup is huge too. And having a deep bench that you can work with is always going to be quite valuable when it becomes more of that chess match. I have a lot of questions about the bullpen. I love the fact that they were at least able to get Kimbrel out of the equation there, so I don't have to worry about that as much. But I agree, like it does get a bit concerning after Burns, and I would have been concerned if Burns didn't get himself right down the final like handful of starts of the year. So it's going to be, I think, imperative for the Orioles to win game one. If they don't, then it really gets scary there, where I think it definitely a 3-game set. Obviously, if you lose game one, like you're looking at a tough spot, but I think even more than usual in this scenario because of the pitching situation that the Mariners that the Orioles have, like it gets real tough if you don't win that burn start. But I still just think the Orioles will outlast them a little bit. And I am concerned that even with some suspect pitching, that the Orioles will be able to put up enough zeros because of the way that the Royals offense can kind of stagnate. But if they are able to get Vinny P back, I know that that's something we talked about is possible. Definitely helps. But I lean Orioles with what they've got going on lineup wise, and I think there's just enough arms to outlast, especially in a 3-game set.
Gotcha.
I think I'm sticking with the Royals.
Okay.
And because I think they win game one. And then I think things get really interesting because if you go Reagans against Burns, I mean, Reagans has been just a smidge below Burns. And with how the Royals bullpen ended the season on a pretty good note, and there's something about this Orioles team that I just don't trust in the playoffs. It's like a weird gut feeling that I've had for a while now. I think that the Royals win game one, and I think they win this series by getting a good start out of Waco or Lugo in order to win it. So, yeah, I'll take the Royals with you, Jack. But
Okay.
again, like it's very predicated on game one. But even still, I think the Royals can win this series having Lugo and Waca if they don't. And if the Orioles lose game one, I think it's almost over. So that's why for me, I'm going to go Royals.
How about the Mets in Milwaukee? In Milwaukee. Note, boots on ground for game one for me.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be there.
This one is so tough because I was planning on coming on this podcast and just being like the Brewers are going to wipe this team out or literally kind of whatever team that they face because I think the Brewers have just been undervalued all season. Like I think if just for any bettors out there, I did the math. They're the only team who I see any value on to bet the World Series at this point. The Milwaukee Brewers. They're such a good team from top to bottom. They play such good defense. Their starting pitching, I know they don't have the allure of some of the top names, but again, all they got to do is give you 5 and 2 runs. The offense is so good, the defense, they're so good on the base pass, they're so well managed. But then it's like the Mets just shot out of a cannon into this series. And I'm a believer in momentum. And I also see an incredible offense with the Mets. And I see kind of the same starting pitcher depth where they're not the best names, but they're all pretty damn good. Damn it. I'm still going to rock with the Brewers, but I now hate it. I went from loving it to now hating it.
Got you.
Jack, I gotta let you go first.
I too am rocking with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, you are. I feel like you're almost trying to jinx them now.
I'm not. I live here now. Noted doubter. I'm not going to say hater. Noted doubter of the Brewers starting rotation. I'm not going to say that they have the starting pitching advantage. I think the super pen may be a lasting motif throughout this month.
Okay.
And also, the Brewers have owned the Mets all year whenever they play them. Arm, what do you think?
True. I lean Mets because as impressive as the staff has been, in Milwaukee, I mean, the Mets staff in the second half has been even better. I mean, they're 7th in baseball in FIP. They had a 3.51 ERA. I think with what they're able to do from a starting pitching perspective, you've seen the bullpen, really come together as well. And I just also looking at the offensive side, like they swung it as well as anybody in the second half. Also, I just struggle to see outside of the bullpen where Milwaukee separates themselves from the Mets. You pair the momentum side with it as well. And I think a lot of players that I think have been there and done that a little bit more. You have the star power just a little bit more with I think the Mets and what Lindor can do and just rising to those big moments and just a little bit more veteran presence there. I think Yelich not being in the fold definitely makes an impact as well. I think a lot is going to be on the back of Brewers rookies or young Brewers players that compared to the Mets, where it's quite the opposite. And being able to match them with what the pitching's been able to do. I think obviously Edwin Diaz and how fresh he is going into the series will be very important. And that's going to be a huge aspect of this whole thing too, to be able to match the Brewers late in games. Because if you're behind, you're going to be you're going to be in trouble, and you got to be able to shut the door when you're ahead. But there's always going to be something. But I think the Mets, with their starting pitching where it is now and the offense clicking the way that it is, I like them to take this series, and unfortunately, just the Brewers to keep kind of being the Brewers in these 3-game sets.
Yeah.
Arm, real quick to your point, is there a chance Diaz is burned for 2 days?
I think he might be.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not going game 1. 66 pitches over the span of essentially 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't see it.
No, I mean, and his velo was down. Like, it would be crazy to do that. That part does make it a bit more concerning. But just with what the Mets have been able to do from a starting pitching perspective, and I mean, they were able to preserve Severino as well, and didn't need him to throw today. And I think just some of the bullpen arms that they were actually able to use in this, outside of they had to definitely use Diaz quite a bit, but they threw Brazoban in both games. He was able to eat some innings for them. Like, they preserved some of their top guys still. So
Joey
I think
Lucchesi
that
masterclass.
Yeah, that does help.
Yeah. All right, Atlanta, San Diego, in San Diego. I'll make it short and quick. San Diego, the super pen is going to be a motif throughout this month of October. This lineup is on fire. Atlanta flies cross country after an exhausting Monday. Exhausting.
I mean, they got put in the worst spot possible. And then you factor in the Chris Sale back spasms. Is he going to be okay? We have no idea.
Said, Hassan just tweeted this. Let me pull this up. Brian Snitker said, Atlanta Braves manager Brian Snitker told reporters he does not expect NL Cy Young favorite Chris Sale to pitch in their wild card series against San Diego.
Padres. And I'll go a step further. I think the Padres are the most talented team in this entire thing.
What about the team that they would play after that?
I think they're the most talented team in this entire thing. Like, I think that they're pitching their front four with that bullpen and this current lineup, even without Ha-Seong Kim, from top to bottom, every position. I think the Padres have the most talented team in the whole playoffs.
So I just jotted that quote down, and what I would like for you to do, Peter, is I would like for you to make this quote card number 1. And quote card number 1 is typically the one that gets the most interaction. I would love to just do some morning reading. Maybe brew
if you guys disagree, like, we could go roster for
Shohei
roster
Ohtani
right now.
and Mookie Betts are on the same team.
I mean, you're a Tatis guy, right? Like Machado, Bogarts, we keep going down the line.
I'm a Tatis guy. That doesn't mean Tatis is Shohei Ohtani.
No, I understand. I'm also saying that if Freddie is in a walking boot, that's certainly concerning. And then you look at their rotation, they've been battered and bombed with injuries. And I would take the Padres bullpen over the Dodgers. And if we're looking 1 to 9, yeah, they have Ohtani, they have Mookie. It's going to hard to go up against that. But if we're looking at right fielders like Mookie versus Tatis, Mookie's a little bit better, but you can kind of go down the line and find a lot of positions where the Padres are better.
I mean, you have the guy that just put together like the best offensive season we've ever seen. You have Mookie Betts, who's Mookie freaking Betts. Teoscar Hernandez hit 33 bombs this year. If Freddie's hurt, that definitely changes things a bit. But still,
how did Will Smith do?
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith had like a down year, and he's still Will freaking Smith, and that's a big edge over the catching situation, I think, in San Diego.
I mean,
Muncy coming back and looking more like himself, once he came back is huge. Tommy Edman has looked a lot better as well. Like, and I mean, I trust and I'm gonna like make my case because that's the whole thing in terms of like why I think the Padres could beat the Dodgers, but like even with a diminished rotation, it's still Flaherty, Yamamoto, Buehler, Knack. I still expect Kershaw to be in the fold. I don't know what the latest is there, but like I think he should be able to throw. And then the bullpen's always still going to be the bullpen that they have there. I mean, with Trinan and Kopech in the back end and
Vesia.
like
Vesia's been a
it's
freak.
crazy. So I mean, in terms of talent, I still don't think anybody stacks up with this Dodgers team.
I don't know. I disagree. I'm just looking at the Padres roster, and I don't see any holes. And I think that they're more balanced, especially in the rotation and in the bullpen as well. I would take the Padres, but we can disagree on that.
Are you making this a clean sweep though? Atlanta, San Diego.
Yeah, it's got to be San Diego,
Okay.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
they've just got they're just so well rounded, to Peter's point, and you know a lot of stress. I think with the Braves and the Chris Sale thing, I think is just unfortunately the icing on the cake there.
Yeah. We've done a lot of the roster breakdown stuff already, so I feel like the DS, CS, and World Series are going to fly a little bit. But the DS, I have Houston and Cleveland matching up in the DS in Cleveland. 3 to 4 days off for Cleveland might really hurt. And Houston, I think, can get hot at home against Detroit. I go Houston, and if Jordan is 50-50 for the wild card series, he is 99-1 for the division series.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I've learned the hard way. I'm gonna pick Houston and continue to pick Houston until they prove me wrong.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Until they lose, like I'm just gonna keep picking them.
It's the pitching thing again too, right? Like I think it was Jeff Passan that said like Eric Getty would be, you know, in the playoff rotation for pretty much the majority of these playoff teams. And, you know, we're having a conversation of like, where does he fit in with the Astros and in the postseason? And I think just the fact that they can, I think, put together a staff that is going to outpitch the Guardians. And then, you know, you have the offensive side of things. I'm just going to trust that team a lot more. It seems like it's a tough matchup for Cleveland.
Yeah. Or you have Baltimore and the Yankees in New York.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one, but I think this is where the Yankees' star power and just I think the Judge Soto combination and I think the pitching also really separates. So I got the Yankees winning that one, especially with the home field there too. Yeah, with the way Cole has looked for most of his time since being back, and even with some of the inconsistency from the other arms, like. I have more faith in those arms than, you know, what the Orioles are going to roll out there, especially as, you know, the Yankees have and their veterans have had some more time to recoup. Stanton looks like he's swinging it well going into the postseason. I just think there's too much firepower and the pitching separates the Yankees. So I think they handle the Orioles. I'm rooting for the Orioles, but I think they handle them.
Peter, you and I have Kansas City and New York. One team is just way better than the other. I think Cole looks like Cole in the DS, and I think Cole setting the tone game one against, I assume, Brady Singer or Waka if they get it done in two. I think Cole is the ultimate tone setter in game one, and we don't see any deviation. I think Soto might be better than Judge this month.
Here's my thing. If we're right, Jack, and the Royals do get past the Orioles, they probably played pretty well to get there, right? And like the offense looks pretty good. And then the Yankees, again, do have those couple of off days where you don't know if the rest is going to hurt them. Like, could the Royals be the team to make a little run here?
They could.
Because
they totally could.
We could just go chalk, but there's a part of me that thinks if the Royals are able to get past the Orioles, that means they're heating up a little bit and could take down a team like the Yankees. We talked about they're starting pitching. If they can get through this, they can go up against any starter.
I love what you're doing here. This is Joe Buck downplaying the Cardinals' final out of the World Series so he doesn't sound like a homer.
Yeah, there's no way you believe this.
No, I'm serious. I do believe that these top seeds with rest could be at a disadvantage here. So if there is a team to make a little bit of a run, I mean, I guess we are saying that the Astros are getting past the Guardians. So if there is a one seed, yes, the Yankees have much more talent than the Royals do. Like I could just pick them based on that. Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at a team to go on a run, I could go with the Royals. But you guys all have the Yankees advancing, and it's our bracket. So the Yankees are in. But I will say, if the Royals,
it's your own bracket.
It is
your own bracket.
Okay,
yeah, it's your own bracket.
All right, give me the Yankees. Well, if it's my bracket, I
Yeah.
want the Yankees. But if I'm putting my baseball brain on, like I could see the Royals going on a little bit of a run here.
It's your bracket.
Yeah, then give me the Yankees. If it was my
Okay.
bracket, the Yankees are going to win the whole damn thing. But no,
Got it.
no. I mean, I'm not picking them against the Astros. I just can't.
All
I
right.
think I think anything can happen in the playoffs, but
Yeah.
having the pitching kind of
Mhm.
used and coming off of that wild card set, and yeah, there might be a little bit of adjusting to the days off, but I think teams are also so much more prime for that. I'd be bringing in guys that need to throw innings from the minor leagues to have live ABs. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there's different approaches now that teams are taking with how much of a discourse there's been around this to keep your players ready and keep them locked in and feeling like they've been seeing live pitching. So I think this is going to be a year where it doesn't matter as much. I'd like to think that. I don't think it's that difficult to offset that and keep your guys ready. So I think the Yankees are going to be ready to go, and with the home field side as well. Either way, whether it's the Royals or the Orioles, I think they handle them pretty easily.
All right, fine. I agree with you guys. I'll go with the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
Peter, you have Milwaukee and Philly in Philly.
Brewers. I think they're going on a run here. I do.
The guy that said, I'm a Red October guy.
That is true. I am a Red October guy. People know this. I'm a Red October guy. Damn it, I love that stadium. Damn it, I love that stadium so much. And those fans. That was so much fun. No, but the Brewers are a team of destiny. I think that the Brewers are going on a run here. I think that they can compete with anybody. I think they're not afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
And I think they do the little things. And I think they matter in the playoffs. And I think the Brewers take them down.
Okay. I have the identical matchup, and I think the Phillies take them down because the Phillies are going to turn to one of the better postseason pitchers of our generation in game one. And then they're going to turn to an assortment of other guys that are going to be really freaking good, I do think. And then they have Bryce Harper in that lineup, too. And Bryce Harper has proven to be as dangerous as anybody in the postseason. So give me Philly at home starting that DS. Aram, you have the Mets and the Phillies.
Yep. I think the Mets win this. I
Okay.
remember the same way that the Phillies, upset the Braves, and it was like didn't really see that coming because I think at that point it was the Phillies were kind of that team of destiny out of the wild card as well. They weren't fully solidified as this top team in the National League, and we're like, oh, how are they going to match them pitching wise? How are they going to do this and that? And they just made it work. I think there's a level of familiarity with the Mets and the Phillies here that even though they're going to see these top flight arms, like they just saw Wheeler. Wheeler danced around and ended up turning in a good outing, but they got to Wheeler for 7 hits. They've crushed Nola this year,
Yeah,
and I think that's an interesting wrinkle in this thing. And I just like the Ranger situation is interesting to me because like how much do you trust this guy? He's one of the most consistent postseason performers we have seen over the last few years, but the way that the season ended for him, like sometimes it's a new page, a new chapter in the postseason, and other times like the struggles carry over, especially if it's a physical thing or you're not feeling like yourself. So like it doesn't feel like as terrifying of a rotation in the playoffs as we've seen in recent years. And I think there's going to be a lot riding on Christopher Sanchez and a lot riding on Aaron Nola being able to execute against a team that is littered with hitters who have seen him a ton and have swung it well against him this year. I think the Mets are clearly hot. And if you look at ERA since the All-Star break, the Phillies are 21st in that department, the 4.49 ERA. Some of the underlying numbers are a little bit better, but they're still not in the top half of the league in those departments either. They just haven't been looking fully like the Phillies of late. And I think the Mets, with the familiarity and with the pitching being what it's been, I think they can match them. And I think they surprise here and pull off the upset.
I do like that pitch. It almost kind of makes me want to go Mets over Brewers now, but I'm sticking with my Brewers. But that got me fired up, Arm. Like I want to see that. That would be electric. But I'll go with the Brewers still.
So only one of us has the Phillies and the CS. Interesting. Aram, San Diego, and the Dodgers in the DS.
All right. Well, it's funny. I'm gonna circle back around and be on Team Peter here. I think the Padres take this one. Some of the same reasons, but I do agree with Peter in the respect that they can go toe to toe. If you look at a lot of different aspects of this ball club, they do get pretty close or match in a lot of areas to the Dodgers. And when you look at what they have bullpen wise. I think this is going to be that true super pen, but starting pitching wise as well, just being able to hand it off there is crazy. But the way the offense has really come together too, with Merrill being one of the best hitters in the second half, and then Tatis returning to the fold and Arias getting right and just looking healthy. I mean, this team's scary, and they've got some guys on the bench that I think are fun and can give them some versatility as well. And they ain't afraid of the Dodgers. I'll tell you that. They've played them tough all year long. I think it's going to be a heavyweight bout, and I think it's going to be crazy. But I mean, the fact that they've been there, they've played LA with high stakes very recently already. I don't think they're going to blink, and I think that's going to be a big reason why they can outlast them.
Gotcha. Okay, Peter.
Padres. I think they're the best team here. And from top to bottom. I mean, they're good at everything. And to Arm's point, they ain't afraid of the Dodgers. Now, what I will say is, like, I'm saying it pretty confidently, but the Dodgers do have Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. Like, he is a difference maker. I mean, we saw him in the World Baseball Classic. Like, he won with Team Japan over Team USA. He's that kind of player. But I just have to go with the Padres. I feel like there's too much momentum. They're too good in the biggest moments, right? I think Peyton sent that stat in. One of the highest OPS pluses in high leverage spots among any team ever.
Yeah.
They're incredible. And then they can lock it down once they get the lead back.
Yep.
I have to go with the Padres here, but I mean, the Dodgers got a tough draw getting San Diego this early.
Yeah.
Well,
if the Braves do beat the Padres, that means the Braves are hot, and then they're dangerous. So whoever the Dodgers are going to face, that blows. I mean, that's a tough one. that blows.
Yeah.
So
did you give yours, Jacket? Did you give yours yet?
No, I actually didn't. Good call. I go with the Dodgers, and the reason I do so is I have watched so many games out on the West Coast so far this season, where a starting pitcher has given up a crooked number and the Dodgers immediately put up a more crooked number.
Yeah.
This offense is absolutely fucking relentless, and I think that they can be relentless. And I think that bullpen is really good. And this is Shohei Ohtani's first appearance in a Major League Baseball postseason.
Yeah. No, you as long as Shohei Ohtani's on that team, you could convince me of just about anything.
I think Teoscar Hernandez is going to hit a massive home run. I think Michael Kopech is going to throw a ball 102 by somebody, and it's going to make a ballpark go silent. Like, I think that's the kind of Dodger energy we're going to get, where they're sick of this 2020 thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think these are the two best teams, the Dodgers and the Padres. So I think that's kind of a quasi World Series in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's going to be the series to watch up until probably we get to at least the CS is probably the World Series. And yeah, whoever wins that is pretty comfortably, at least in my opinion, going to be the favorite to win it all. So I think you can't go wrong either way. But I think this could finally be the year where the Padres can, dethrone the Astros the Dodgers and be that like team to beat in the West, maybe moving into next year.
Yep. All right, the CS. What do we got here? So, Aram, as it stands right now for you, you have an NLCS matchup of Mets Padres and an ALCS matchup of Astros Yankees. Let's start with your ALCS, Houston and the Yankees.
Oof. That's going to be fun. Peter's already like shivering. I can just feel it. I can just see.
I'm genuine. I mean, we already beat them in the regular season and it felt good, but those are demons over there in Houston.
Yes.
They got a voodoo. They're terrifying. I mean, they are terrifying.
I think this is a year where the Yankees can kind of put it together. I finally feel like this is one of the more well-rounded lineups that we've had in a little bit. I can't emphasize enough how much the Jazz Chisholm addition just gave them so much more, just dynamic aspects to their lineup. I think that the depth that they have is interesting as well, and some of the different players they can put in certain spots. And again, I really do believe in that bullpen. I think there's a lot of different players they can use in different roles. And it's a lot of the same guys that really, really want that win. And I think are comfortable. They're not afraid of the Astros. I know like fans may be, but the players are ready to go. And I think Soto is going to be a big difference maker in this as well, and really changes everything. And I think Judge in the postseason with Soto now alongside him is going to make a big difference. And I think this is going to be the postseason where Judge really, I think plants his flag and says, I'm Aaron freaking Judge in the postseason too. I just haven't had as many opportunities as I deserve. And I think that's going to be a big part of this as well. So I think the Yankees do it. I think they edge out the Astros here, and having the home field advantage a little bit, I think can make a big difference, because I do think it comes down to the last game.
Gotcha.
Yankees have been prolific on the road this year, which is another thing, in their favor. And Arm, to your point too, like I'm thinking about it. Well, who are the Astros that own the Yankees? Christian Javier, Justin Verlander. Like those guys are not. Well, of course, Javier's not going to be there, and Verlander is not at the peak of his powers anymore. So if you're taking out a couple of the guys who own the Yankees, I'm still going with the Astros. I'm terrified. I can't get it out of my head. Maybe that's bad analysis, but I can't. So I'm just not going to pick against them. And then if we win, I'll be happy. And if we lose, well, I got my Astros World Series ticket, go to the World Series. So yeah, I'll just stick with the Astros, and I hate it.
See, for those that are watching on YouTube, or even if you're listening, that's what baseball trauma looks and sounds like. Right there.
I mean, what am I supposed
and I
to
don't
say?
blame you. No, I don't blame you at all. But it's just that's what this Astros.
Do you understand? Like the Astros own me in so many ways. Not only do they own my favorite team, I've picked against them and just gotten my shit kicked out. Like I can't get away from this team.
Yeah.
So this is the year I buy fully in. Maybe now they'll finally lose. Probably not, but maybe.
The Jason Hayward walk-off is going to go crazy.
It's going to be awesome. So good.
Like Caleb Ferguson shutting us down. Is he still on the Astros?
Yeah, he is.
Yankee cast off. He'll probably throw like an inning against us.
Caleb Ort shuts the door.
The John Singleton grand slam in the 7th inning is going to be the backbreaker.
Like, it's 2 outs. Mauricio Dubon, we have to get this out. Against Clay Holmes, he hits like a ground ball up the middle to have us lose. Like, it's just everything that could go wrong is going to go wrong. And I'm putting it out onto the ether, so hopefully it doesn't. Give me the Astros.
Gotcha. I go Houston. I feel like there is a starting pitcher in every game that will make the Yankees be scared. Just like a little bit. It's like, oh, we got to deal with Hunter Brown tonight. Like, he's been so good. Oh, we got to deal with Kikuchi tonight. Oh, we got to deal with Ronel Blanco tonight. I feel like there are going to be
some that Framber guy.
Exactly.
Jack, I'm like laughing right now because it's like, you're right.
Yeah,
just because Javier and Verlander, why can't Hunter Brown and Ronel Blanco now own the Yankees? Why not?
You're gonna find some new villains.
Yeah,
I promise you're gonna find some new ones.
I'm taking out old ones. Why can't the new ones also dominate us?
Yeah.
Why not? Of course they could.
Peter, NLCS, you have Milwaukee and San Diego.
San Diego.
Okay, they're the best team here.
They're the best team here.
Okay.
Aram,
you have the Mets in San Diego.
I got the best team here, man. I got San Diego. I got San Diego, no doubt about it. No, I think that's where the Mets, kind of run out of gas a little bit, and the star power kind of shines through with the Padres pitching wise, and I think the bullpen, just the way that they can take over the game in the 6th or 7th, whereas for the Mets, it's 8th and 9th, and a lot of times it's asking Edwin Diaz to do a lot, and I think they're going to ask him to do a lot to get to that CS, and I just wonder if he runs out of gas a little bit there, and if he does, like, man, that bullpen becomes a lot more one-dimensional.
Fair. I have Phillies Dodgers. I go with the Dodgers. I think this offense is, again, relentless, and it's Ohtani's first, and Mookie is going to have a big swing here. If we do get Phillies Dodgers in the NLCS, I'm not missing a pitch.
Yeah. Not a second.
I can't miss any second of that.
These are all awesome.
I know, but like Brewers,
like,
Padres,
I'm Brewers game.
I'm okay missing Brewers, Padres in the 3rd inning, but like Phillies, Dodgers,
I might take a phone call or something. Like
you got
sleeping
the Tigers
on the
in there.
Crew here.
I'm good.
No shot.
All right, we have a World Series matchup in each of these brackets now. So, Peter, you kick us off, Bobby. So you have Houston and San Diego.
Padres, Astros. The Padres are the best team here. Give me the Astros to win the World Series.
How many games?
7. In Minute Maid. No, the Padres are going to have home field advantage. Oh, the Astros are going to do it in Petco, aren't they? Because they're just built like that. They're a terrible, horrible franchise full of winning. They are just so terrifying. Yeah, I mean the Astros in 7.
Okay.
The Padres are better though.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Aram, you have Yankees Padres.
Best team here, Arm.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the best team here. I really do think that the Padres are gonna win it all, which is so funny about like playing the devil's advocate with Peter and I knew like this was gonna come. Because I was like, they've been my pick all along, but I had to push back on the best team on paper, even though I don't think it's totally crazy. I think this is the year, man. I really do. And you know, it would be really special, I'm sure, for the Sador family. Like that whole side of it would be so freaking cool. I would love to see the Yankees lose in the World Series. I just think that would be a really fun episode to record right after with Peter. And I have nothing against the Yankees. My grandpa's from the Bronx. I know he's going to be smiling from heaven, pumped about the World Series. So I would be very happy if they won it. It's a win-win. It's kind of similar to the Fink situation with the Mets. I was texting him during the whole series, like just having fun with it today, just because like it's just so fun to see people freak out. Can't really relate to that growing up a Marlins fan. So I think Padres do it. I think there's some magic there. I think there's like a little bit of that Peter Sidor magic, and I also just think this team is got it this year. The vibes have finally been there. I feel like that's been a big thing that's been missing. And I think Merrill has been huge for this team, and I think he stakes his claim and has a huge postseason. And I also think Machado has some iconic swings in the World Series and puts them over the top. But I think it goes 7, and it's going to be one of the best World Series we've seen in some time.
Okay. So Aram has San Diego in 7. Peter, you have Houston in 7. I have Houston and the Dodgers. I'll go with the Dodgers in 6. I feel like this is the one year where we're not talking about the LA Dodgers as being flawless. Like, I think it's very easy to look at the rotation and be like, oh, Flaherty, Yamamoto was hurt for the majority of the year. Bueller's been, shell of former Bueller. Knack is a rookie. What do you got? I feel like every other year we go into this and it's like, oh, the big bad LA Dodgers fell. This feels like the first time, and I still think they're Goliath. I think there's a ton of people listening to this that fully view them as Goliath. But I feel like there are some people out there that are like, oh, no, they have a bad rotation coming into this postseason. I feel like that's enough. And I know we got some pushback here on the Dave Roberts left, but like, I mean, they've gone through a lot this year. And I feel like this could be that culmination, and this could be the real World Series.
And I do think, to your point, Jack, like if the Dodgers do beat the Padres, like Arm and I have Padres beating the Dodgers, I do think the Dodgers make it out.
Yep.
I think the winner of that series makes it to the World Series. And,
I agree.
But then if the Astros make it, like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, right. The Astros are just the Astros.
But that's just me. Like, I'm a traumatized person. I am.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you about the Dodgers. If they are able to beat the Padres, I think they make it.
I feel like people are like witnessing the baseball version of like Stockholm syndrome with Peter and the Astros right now.
Crazy.
It's horrible. It's horrible. They haunt my dreams.
Always coming back.
They haunt my
But
dreams.
the other thing I want to predict in this World Series is a relentless, if it is Yankees Padres, annoying amount of Soto back against the Padres and Michael King, and you're going to get real sick of those storylines. That's also going to be thrown into the prediction.
He was hardly a Padre. Hardly.
Yeah. Oh, just wait. Just wait. You're going to hear all about it in the World Series.
I'm pretty fired up. But James Wood, where are they now, piece?
Yeah.
What an episode. All MLB team playoff bracket went over Braves versus Mets. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Just Baseball Show, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us a like as well. And if you've been listening on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, greatly appreciate a 5-star review. It's getting a little chilly. Go get yourself some Just Baseball merch. I'm the only one on this freaking podcast wearing some merch right now. So normally it's Don't Be Like Jack. Aram, expect more from you, but it's okay. Go get your Just Baseball merch in the episode description. Code JB15 for 15% off. I'm going to go get a sweatshirt. You should too. For Jack McMullen, Arm Layton, boys, anything before I say goodbye?
Yeah, top 5 jersey sales in Major League Baseball. Go, rapid fire.
Ohtani,
Mm-hmm.
Judge, Soto.
Not Soto. Judge 3. Ohtani 1. 2, 4,
Bobby
and 5.
Witt.
No, not Bobby Witt.
Mookie on there?
Mookie is 4.
Who the heck is 5?
You're missing 2 and 5.
2 and 5. Oh, who's 2?
We forgetting somebody obvious? We always do this.
I think so.
Position.
Harper.
Harper is 2.
Ah,
That was
okay,
going to give
dog.
it away. It's 5.
Pitcher or hitter? I assume hitter.
Hitter. Peter's got a crush on him right now.
Parker Meadows?
that'd be electric. I would anoint Tigers fans the best in baseball if that was the case.
Frankie Lindor is 5.
Oh, duh. Yeah. I was like, Parker Meadows, really?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, hopefully everybody again enjoyed this episode. For Jack and Will and Armlane, I'm Peter Uppel. We will see you tomorrow for full playoff coverage. And with that, thank you, everybody.